I am utterly fascinated by Compulsion Games, with their previous games Contrast and We Happy Few proving that this studio can craft beautiful and intricate worlds, but struggle with the whole video game part of game development. I had hoped that their next game would break the curse that seems to have been placed on this studio, and I had a good amount of hope after seeing the game in presentations with a very gameplay first mentality. Unfortunately, that's not the case. While this game's visuals and characters are noticeably intriguing, the gameplay suffers from being boring and repetitive. Allow me to explain as we dive into the murky waters of South of Midnight. Minor spoiler warning. The gameplay involves the player participating in arena-styled hack-and-slash battles and basic platforming challenges on a quest to rescue the main character's mother after both her and their house gets swept away by a terrible storm. I'll start with what this game gets right. The visuals are absolutely stunning. The game goes for a stop-motion style, and that unique art direction mixed with the beautiful lighting makes for some visually striking environments. The story, while not being anything amazing, was interesting enough to keep me invested. Most video games either just don't have a story at all, or they make an attempt at a story but it's forgettable, so it was nice to see that the story was somewhat decent, which was probably helped by the characters. The game sees you peering into the backstories of characters you meet along the way, and some of them were extremely memorable. The preacher lady's story was interesting, the first story with the brothers was tragic, and I enjoyed the company of the catfish that is your companion throughout the game. Part of the charm of Compulsion Games is just how aggressive they are with their settings. We Happy Few basically reminded you every 5 seconds that it was British, and South of Midnight does the same, but this time revolving around the Deep South, with swamps, catfish, and a giant alligator named Two-Toed Tom, which just makes it all the funnier to learn that the studio is Canadian. Alright, you had your dessert, now get ready for the vegetables. You might have noticed that of all the positives I listed, gameplay wasn't one of them. The main gameplay loop is fine by itself, but gets really repetitive after a while. The combat arenas don't really change all that much, and I completed most of them by just mashing X and using my abilities whenever the cooldowns were up. And then there's the platforming, which felt really stiff and awkward to control, with your main character's controls feeling like the gravity was set just a little too high. For example, early on in the game you get a glider to use, which if you're familiar with gliders in other games, also in real life, then you'd expect it to slow your descent and carry you a greater distance. But in this game, whenever you use the glider, it's like your character becomes a nail and the world becomes a magnet, instantly dragging you downward. AKA the exact opposite of what a glider should do. The same goes for the grappling hook, because of course this game has a grappling hook. I'm not complaining, by the way, I just think it's funny. But it also feels extremely finicky to use. I will say I enjoy the gameplay of this more than their previous game, but considering most of We Happy Few's gameplay was just walking across a giant empty map and hitting enemies with what felt like a wiffle ball bat, that's not saying much. In summary, South of Midnight is a step in the right direction for this studio, but it just misses the mark with repetitive and clunky gameplay. It's not a bad game, but it's kind of hard to recommend. But if you already have Game Pass, then I'd say it's at least worth checking out. That's all I got for now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit that bell icon to be notified for whenever I make a new video. The next review should be Sinners, so if you're interested in that, or interested in supporting the channel more, then turn on notifications and check out my other videos. Okay, that's it. Bye.